Good morning, sunshine, sunshine, sunshine. Okay, this is the continuation of the Mercedes turbo coolant lines was leaking one half. This guy was beating on this turbo. Nah, I'm only kidding. He probably brought it somewhere and they washed down. These are the new lines here. This is what they're supposed to look like. Straight from the dealer. And this is the special one right here. This is the joint one that joins them together from one turbo to the other turbo. Oh, and this little one here also. So we have that, and also we have our thermostat housing. Yes, new thermostat. And we're gonna get ready to rip apart into this car. All right, I'll see you in a minute. All right, we're gonna replace the thermostat housing, remove it out of our way, and so it uses Torx nut. There's 3 of them, 2 on the top, and there's one right here to the oil filter housing. We're going to use a E10 wrench for that one. The space between the radiator fan and this bolt here, and it's a long bolt, so you don't want to get anything in there. And these Mercedes bolts, they're very tender, soft, quick to snap, and make your life a living headache in the worst possible ways. So I got my drain bucket there underneath the car. We're gonna have to go back up in the air with the car. So with that being said, these bolts are so small and I like regular. You're not to over tighten them. Most of these bolts here only require a 1/4 inch socket or driver. Very, very small. It doesn't really, very large majority of them does not require a lot of torque. I don't know if it was ever been said before, but I'm saying it now that, yeah, that's the one thing that I've come to understand about it. Fine thread, very, very fine thread. They're 10 millimeters, just with a different type of head. So let's see if this bad boy works. 1 second there. Okay, we have one more on the back side, so there's 3 of them. Okay, be right back. There is 3 actual bolts that's holding the thermostat housing. 4, sorry. The thermostat housing. There's one hidden on the far inner corner of it. There we go. In Houston, we have us. Hey, there you go. Hey, ready? All right. The O-ring seals. As suspected. Now it has a sensor here but there was no codes inside. But because of the leak, I suspected that something had to cause it. Mercedes does not notify you about this problem. So, let's see. You see him there? Yeah. Now, it doesn't feel like the spring is loaded, but okay. All right. Mercedes. All of my areas are now cleaned and prepped. Okay. The bearings inside of the turbo feel solid. The propeller is not wobbly, it's not jiggling, it's good. O-ring seals. Silicone spray. Not all sprays are good for O-rings. Reason being is that certain silicone spray eat away, PB Blaster will eat away at rubber. You don't want to use PB Blaster on rubber, especially if it's in an area where you cannot get to it on an easy. But they do sell a silicone lubricant spray, part of my formula. It works wonders. So, without hesitation, I will say I put it on any rubber that I intend on installing. You know, any rubber that I intend on installing. So that we have a smooth transition. Yeah. Now visually, it says this one is in a tight spot because I'm trying to get to the turbo. The turbo on the driver's side is very compact, very compact. There's no space between the turbo and there is a heated shield from the outside. Honestly. It takes a little time down. I say, PB Blaster doesn't work, but the Blaster, yeah, that went so smooth, it's unbelievable. Wow. That's so professional. Okay. So this guy here. He's going to go here and on the back side that he has to go over there just like that. Come on up. One there. There's one place. Two right here. Yes. This guy goes here. So we are moving along. And now I'm I am gonna change the lines on the passenger side also, but because if you're in here, you might as well do it, you know. So I said, let me do this first, make sure that your secondary bolt is able to bolt into before you tighten up this one. Okay, and you don't need, as I said, it's a lot of pressure with these things. You know, it's double gasket, so unless the plastic breaks, you really don't need to be in these areas. To the condition and the mileage of this car, I would just consider it that this car was fed a lot of water. Okay. Now I also have this guy here that is to go into the turbo. This is right here, and it goes behind like this. Now the first piece, one is a fill and one is a return, you know, the cycle. So the bottom one is in. This will go inside on the top side, and the bolt flap will sit on the outside of the bottom. It's one bolt, 2 units. So if you think that's it, you could take this one off by itself. Yeah, maybe, but to take off the bottom one, you have to take off the top. Now this turbo is the coolant lines for the turbo. Oh man, it is something, I could tell you that much. The space between right there and the turbo, horrible man, horrible. I'm about to put the thermostat housing in, and wrap up on this side. This is gonna go, you know, back into its places, and put the tubes on. You know, there is a little component that is missing to that line that you see sticking out down there. So I sent to Mercedes to go get that little conjointing fitting to go here, and we'll wrap it up. All right, so I'll see you in a few minutes. Be sure to make sure that your bolt holes are aligned. You don't want to twist and turn this thing. Catch the upper bolt first. Get a few good threads in there. Now, I was thinking to put the belt on, but I'm still gonna have to go back there. But I am accessible from this point here to where I need to be. So I can put this together and wait for that part to come. This car has to go today, but later on today. I need to get jumping on something else. So I'm just gonna set this up so that this way okay. Not there yet. We're gonna have to tighten these first. Before is it? These down here before we can catch this bracket bolt right here. I cannot stress enough how important it is to walk certain components in. When I say walk, I mean just snug the bolts. This one here is on the back side, so And keep your eye, I don't know if you can see it, but sorry. Keep your eye on this little piece right here, so that this way you put your bolt in there when it's lined up, because you could go back and forth like this with the bolt. So once that piece is, the upper head is tightened, then this will, you know, fall into place. But this is, it's important, but make sure that these are. Now let's tighten up this. Mercedes are delicate cars to work on, just for the simple fact that they have 75% of the car is made up of plastic. It's amazing that how such of a plastic car with so much plastic components have so much horsepower, produces so much horsepower. That was always something that I thought about. Okay. You can run into multiple problems. You can run into multiple problems with these vehicles. Workmanship is, as it says, you have to be very delicate. Try not to rush. You have to be patient with it. You really do. Get frustrated, you know, take 2 minutes. Come back to it. Sometimes it helps. Okay. So with that, double check this one, make sure it's good. There you go. One more on this side. Good. Alright, so you come here. Now this little thing is to attach here. There we go. Screw it in. Alright. For the bracket bolt, you're gonna have to use your E10 wrench. The space between the radiator and right here is very small. Okay. I'm gonna try to see if I can get to the passenger side, the upper coolant line here. I want to replace this one. I am waiting for the 2-piece attachment that attaches to this upper line here that will go right there. Well, I don't think you can see him, but right there where the bolt is sticking out. Yeah. So we're just gonna replace this line here, and then, you know, wait for that part to come in, and then we could put our rest of our stuff on there and wrap up this back. Okay. Alright, another trusty screw, put him back in. I tell you, come on buddy, there you go. Well, it's a perfect thing, man. Yes indeed it is. Tighten you up, and 3/8, and when you look at the two lines of the upper and the lower lines, you will see that so they're flush. So if you were worried about if they needed to go in some more, if you see that an indication is that right here of the two lines are flush.